funniest thing with everyone who came and looked at the Jeeps was there were many people who were just kicking the tires and they were, fantasizing about owning a Jeep Wrangler. And a lot of people said, oh, yeah, I really want to have a Jeep, but. And I'm going, these are my daily drives. There's no but. And they go, yeah, but. And I was like, nope, driven them to Abu Dhabi many times. Is it, I'm driving now an FJ Cruiser. No soul. And
we had that. We've mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, zero soul. Now, the one thing is, you could get speeding tickets in that thing, whereas on my Jeep, you're never really going to get a speeding ticket. This thing's got it really accelerates nicely, and you hit 100 fast, and you don't even realize you're doing 100 kilometers an hour. So great acceleration, beautiful over speed bumps and stuff. It's got wonderful suspension. Again, it is not a Jeep.
No, it's not a Wrangler. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's, comfort level, it's okay. It's just weird. The big complaint I have, and the wife has driven it once. She doesn't want to drive it. She just said, I said, the blind spots. Man, are there blind spots? Yeah. I'm constantly, and now today we got a dog cage in the back that takes up the entire back of this vehicle. Yeah. I can't see anything.
No chance. No, they are bad for blind spots. Wow. Yeah, the windows are tiny on them.
Now, here's a funny one. So they ended up with this FJ because my neighbor likes to buy and sell cars. It's his hobby. And I look over at him and we're getting ready to, he's going on vacation. I said, man, I got to go rent a car. And he goes, well, why are you going to rent a car? And I said, well, because we're out of here and stuff. And he goes, I go, hey, actually, I look at him and I say, actually, you got a couple cars. Can I rent one off you? And he goes, absolutely not. And I'm thinking, all right, neighbor, thank you very much. He says, but you can just drive it. He says, I'm selling it anyway. So this is the part of the story that becomes funny. So he gives it to me. Of course, it's empty. He did get it washed. And I'm saying to the wife, we got to go get this thing washed before we give it back. She goes, why would we do that? It's going to be parked outside. I'm going, if he washed it giving to us, I have to go get it cleaned inside.
Yeah.
And the wife's not thinking like that. And I'm thinking, no.
Definitely the right thing to do.
She's going, that's going to be a waste of money. I'm going, it'll be the best 50 dirhams we ever spent.
Yeah.
And we'll leave toll money in it as well because But I go to the gas station to get gas. He did not give me the full instructions on this vehicle. So it's filling it up with petrol. And I'm sitting there. And what do you do when they're filling up with petrol? I'm not watching the gas gauge. I'm on my phone. And finally, they hear the click. It stops. The guy comes over and he goes, wow. He says, everything really takes a lot of fuel. And I'm going, it didn't click at first. I'm going, it takes a lot of fuel. What are you talking about? He goes, does that last more than one week? And I'm going, what the heck are you talking about? So I tap for it. And I said, well, how much was this anyway? He goes, 400 dirhams. And I'm going, 400 dirhams? I was thinking, this thing better last longer than a week. Well, I guess it's got a double tank. He neglected to tell me this. I feel so. Fortunately, I've had it for over a week now. I've used half the tank.
Yeah.
So fine, but man, that would become an expensive proposition.
Yeah, that one time you have to fill it every couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that's a big one. Yeah, sat in the fuel station for an hour.
Yeah,
might as well have an electric car.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not 100% sold on the third door to get into the back on one side. It's got that.
No, rubbish. No, I don't. They're a little bit too lightweight and toy-like for me, but they are very capable.
It's a wonderful vehicle. It's great off-road.
Yeah.
It's just, I keep biting my tongue because I'll be comparing and things. I'm going, hold on a second. This is a really nice vehicle. It's just when you're used to something.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
You're something, even with all of, and this was the thing when I was getting rid of the Jeeps. And I'm saying to the guys who are looking at us, there's a little bit of a water leak, a coolant leak. And of course, I was using the DJ technique. And he said, DJ had looked at one of them before, and he said, yeah, there is a little bit of a leak. He says, it's going to be major at some point.
At some point.
How long are you willing to keep filling up the reservoir? And I kind of went, I've got no problem with doing that.
Yeah.
He says, but it will go. And at that point, you're going to need to get this thing fixed. So
it's a bit of a roulette.
Yeah. So, and the guys are looking over, and I'm honest with them. I said, yeah, you're gonna have to get this looked at because clearly it's gonna need something. Looks like a little seal, I think, probably water pump seal. I said to them, and they were happy with it. They said, yeah.
like you say, James, at the end of the day, they're buying cars that are 15 years old.
Yeah. That's what they looked at. And they said, they said, how many more leaks does it have? I said, it doesn't leak oil.
Yeah. Doesn't leak any oil.
There's no
doesn't burn any oil.
There's no major diff leaks.
Yeah.
This is a their big question is, how's the transmission? I said, seems okay. Doesn't judder, doesn't do this. How's the four wheels? It goes in and goes out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take it for a drive. See what you think.
Yeah.
So, the core thing, I don't know what they were going to do with them because they weren't so concerned about really anything. It was just maybe someone wanted a Jeep that they could modify or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they were relatively blank canvases, weren't they?
Yeah, because there's no mods on them. So
yeah,
but it was sad to see them go, but also very big relief because you'd been working on them, and every time you think of what are your yearly repairs, brakes and stuff. Tires here and there and oil changes and then things. And we probably were spending about 10,000 dirhams a year and change
possibly,
on each for repairs of things.
Yeah. By
the time we were done.
Yeah.
And it was always, should we get a new one? And it's like, well, no mortgage, no loan on these things. And this cost of driving. We're not going to get much for them anyway. And
to get one on finance, it's what are you going to pay $3,000 a month at least?
Yeah. And so we just kind of average it out and go, might as well just keep fixing them.
Yeah. It's difficult. I mean, I've mentioned at the start, rental car prices here even are still expensive. Yeah. You couldn't rent a Wrangler for anywhere near that. So, like you say.
So we were happy. Yeah. And then, FJ, it is what it is.
They'll go out to somebody else, hope somebody else enjoys them. Cars like that, there's no reason they can't run for another 15, 20 years, especially in a place like this where...
Oh. Well, and what we've done back in Canada, and people are just laughing at us. I said, driven these... We had both of these from new, these Jeeps, so 2008 and 2009. Never do that, by the way. If you're going to buy a car, never buy one year and then next year buy the other year, because they're both going to break at the same time. It's basically the same vehicle. And both of mine did. Yeah. Everything went wrong simultaneously. All the time. And but moving back home, I was adamant not to get an older vehicle. I was adamant. I said to the wife, whatever we do, no, we're not going to do it. What do we do? Get the same year that we have here. And the logic being, I know all the things that are going to go wrong.
You know what's going to go wrong.
I know. As soon as it starts making a noise, I know what that is.
Yeah.
A little bit of leak, know what that is.
Yeah. I mean, look, the fact is, you have an attachment to the cars.
Yeah.
And that's something that's dying now.
Yeah.
There's, I've heard it said, and we've mentioned before, some of the new cars, particularly the electric cars, just seem like iPhones, like white goods.
Yeah.
They're just not. They're just something you have to have, like when you have to put shoes on your feet when you go out the house. Yeah. You buy your shoes because they look nice. People are buying cars because of how they look. They're not buying the car because of what they can do with it and how they can drive it and how it makes them feel. They're buying it for how it makes them look. Well, ever since the Prius, that's been the case, I think. You know
what happens to your phone after 10 years? What's going to happen to these electric cars? And I always keep going back to the LED dashes, the OLED dashes, all of that stuff. That has a lifespan. And with our phones and with our TVs and with things, I mean, the TV at least sits in one place. This thing's getting moved around. It's getting hot.
What happened with cars, in my opinion, is when they stopped making the 0 to 60 stat, something that was on the top, within the top 5 lines of any data on the car, and in that top 5 line was range. That's when, to me, cars died as an extension of a personality or as something that had any kind of soul, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
They died at that point, and they just became, like I said, white goods. Just something you have to have. You buy a house, you rent a house, you've got to buy a fridge, you've got to buy a microwave, you've got to buy a kettle. And it's the same now. Cars just fit into that same boring category of, I wish I didn't have to buy this. Like if you go home from work and at the end of the day, you take your gear off, you put it on the floor next to the washing machine to put a load of washing on, and the washing machine's broke. Oh, I've got to buy a washing machine. I wish I didn't have to do that. I feel like that's what cars have become right now. I feel like the new modern cars are just
soulless.
Paint by numbers.
Yeah. They all look the same.
Yeah, there's just nothing.
Sad.
Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
If RFK removes some of the psychedelics bands, we might end up with cars like they used to make in the 60s that look like spaceships.
Hey, the Cadillac has got one of their new vehicles. It's the it's built on the Celestic base, but it's a Soleil, I guess is how they were saying it. I don't know how they're pronouncing it. Soleil, but probably Soleil. And this thing is a concept car. Looks beautiful. They want to compete with Rolls-Royce and Bentley, but what's the term that caught my attention? Standards of the world. I didn't put it in here, did I? No. Yeah, the Yacht Rock Cadillac Soleil Yacht Rock.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like a boat.
It does look like a boat.
There's some cars, I can't remember which ones they
And
used
it's
to
all
call
electric.
them the boat tail, didn't they? Some
It's
of the
all
Rolls
electric,
Royces,
this
I think.
thing. To me, that's a Cadillac. I look at that and I say, that's what a Caddy is.
Yeah, it just ain't got a V8 in it.
No, it's all electric, which is a problem. But
Yeah.
put a big, bold V8 in that thing and
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah. I mean,
I bet you it's got a suspension that it just rolls over the...
there's three things I can tell you just by knowing it's Cadillac. The AC will be amazing in it. The in-car entertainment and sound system will be the best you can get in a car, and it'll be comfortable.
Yeah.
You can say those three things straight away about a Cadillac. That's one of the things with Cadillacs. Like if you see an Escalade on the road, it's going to be comfy. The AC is great and the sound system's great.
Yeah.
And that's particularly for the way Americans used to do it, where they just worry because they knew what they were doing with the engine.
Yeah.
The engine was going to be a V8. The suspension was just going to be an afterthought, and it was just going to go that way.
No, this is. I love that. I love the rolling suspension. It's kind of like you're in a rocking chair.
Yeah, but it's only to get you to and from, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not worried about, Alpine Pass or anything like that. So, but you know what you're getting with a Cadillac.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's just interesting, with the whole EV thing.
Yeah. Maybe fun-looking cars are coming back. Who knows?
Yeah, but is it California? California having brownouts?
Yeah,
because of the strain on the grid, and they're asking people that everyone has to have EVs by, I can't even remember when it is, like soon, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's no power to do it.
There's no power to do it.
Yeah. No, and you got to find sustainable energy as well. So it's horrible situation.
I went to a talk on Tuesday at a school that my children go to. It was a professor from the University of Wollongong here in Dubai, and he was talking about hydrogen. I assume he was a chemist, and he was talking about hydrogen fuel and how typical scientist, how blue sky he was. It was the future for particularly for this region because of how we can make it using solar power, which is free and doesn't really harm, and all that jazz. Now, what was interesting about that was how they were talking about he still believes that EVs are the future for individual transport, privately owned passenger cars. And Dr. Stephen Wilkinson, Director of Research. And it was a very good presentation and talk. But there's so many different ways of making hydrogen.
Yeah.
And at no point did they mention nuclear power.
Yeah.
And I'm sat there thinking, we've got nuclear power stations. And why aren't we talking about it? Because, things can go bad with them, but we're better at it than we were then.
Yeah.
And also, Chernobyl kind of happened through a bit of negligence here and a bit of underfunding there.
Yeah.
The one in Japan after the tsunami was after a tsunami, and it still didn't melt down and cause massive problems. So we could stand to make nuclear power make hydrogen.
Maybe it's time.
And we can manufacture a car here. We make steel.
Yep.
Manufacture steel here. We do cabling, copper. We do aluminium. We can make hydrogen.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, this is the time.
Hydrogen's going to be used as an aviation fuel. The next 10, 15 years, I think they'll have one in the air for testing. Well, there's nowhere that says aviation like the UAE.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, you're going to see it next Tuesday. Probably one of the busiest days over the year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
And the amount of this place is well positioned for that. And you know what? I think if it becomes a case of well, it's national pride because the UAE makes its own car and we can power it with hydrogen that we make. The UAE already exports hydrogen apparently. And there's a few hydrogen fuel filling stations here for some of the hydrogen. And in the Middle East, the UAE and Lebanon are the biggest users of hydrogen cars already. And it seems to me that there must be something going on in the background because UAE is always up there wanting to be
the
first, right? All the mistakes that have been made in the past by other countries, we tend to sort of do well here by getting behind the right thing. And I think hydrogen solves so many issues. And the worst part about the presentation for me, he had a map, and I wish I'd asked him to send it me. I might email him for it. There was a map of the world, obviously, the whole world. And it had a colour code of where you could make hydrogen and how. And it was green for certain types and darker green for others, and what you could do with that hydrogen, whether it was exportable or whatever. The whole of the sort of northern hemisphere, except for Africa, and then a massive swathe of the southern hemisphere, except for the central part of the southern hemisphere of Africa, was all capable. The grey on the map was basically the 70%, excluding the extreme north and the extreme south of Africa, where they can't make hydrogen because of lack of whatever. Yeah. But we're basically pillaging that part of the world for lithium.
Right.
And it's like, then what? So we use all the lithium up. They can't then make the hydrogen that we've moved on to anyway. We just wash our hands of the problem, go away.
Yeah.
And that to me was the most glaring side of it, because all the while this doctor was saying, it's great, save the environment, global warming, and stop burning fossil fuels. And I'm thinking, you stop burning all the fossil fuels you want in England and Canada and America. Stop all you want, because there are far more people in that massive grey area there that are trying to feed their families and survive the next day, that are burning trees and anything they can get their hands on to cook and heat their homes with. And that seemingly is going to, as we get exponentially less impactful with a carbon footprint, based on that map, a massive chunk of the world is going to get more exponentially impactful in a negative way on the environment. And certainly from a carbon footprint, the debate on that is something for other people,
and that's what we're going to leave you with.
Yeah.
And that is the parting words from Glenn Power here on the PowerWorks podcast. Glenn, thank you very much.
Thank you, James.
And thank you, everyone who's tuned in. If you're on 100.3, thank you very much for listening. You're on Spotify. Great for watching and listening. YouTube, thank you very much. Wherever you are, like us, share us, and let people know that we're out there. And we will be back with you very, very soon. Once again, Glenn Power, PowerWorks Garage. Thank you very much.
Thanks, James.